chat with Glendora, a show for living right. A chat with Glendora makes your day so bright. Words of inspiration, jokes to make you smile. Come relax and chat with Glendora for a while.
Hi folks, I believe this is the last day of April. I believe it's April 30th, and I believe it's the last day that Glennie is 93 years old, the last day. Tomorrow Glennie will turn things around from 49 years old to 94 years old. And Grady Hearn has to work. He has to make a video of a wedding tomorrow. He thought he was going to have the day off and that he could come up to Happy House 3 and we would have a Glendora Vegetarian Club. I'll tell you about that in a minute, as soon as we get into the knee hole here. But you know what you do? That was a great disappointment, but that isn't the way you look at it, is it? I don't think so. Now tell me if this is right. You take what God gives you, and no matter what, you say thank you. And go on. Is that correct? You take what God gives you, you say thank you, and you go on. That's a false alarm. This phone does that. How was your score yesterday? Were you a blessing to somebody yesterday? Thanks to you and others, we made it here. I think to 22 people we were a blessing. And there weren't any fights, and there weren't any temper tantrums, and we did all the work except we forgot to put the wax remover into the ear. You put the wax remover into the ear and you don't let the syringe touch the skin. You squirt it in. It's fun. It's a good shot. You put in about 10 drops, and then you put a Q-tip in to hold it in. Well, a Q-tip sawed off to hold it in. And you let it stay there, it says for a few minutes. Carol says a few was 3. I am not so sure of that. But anyway, 5 or 10 minutes. And then you come along with a rubber ball syringe and warm water, and you flush out the wax remover. Do you hear any better? I don't know. But you know, I tried, as I told you, to get a doctor to come to the house and do that. And we couldn't find a doctor who made house calls. Make that a detail today. Go to the internet and see if you can find a list of doctors who do house calls. Because Glennie is dedicated to the Glendora Happy House. She doesn't want to go out and have an accident with the wheelchair banging into a door the way it did for poor Charlotte Owen. She doesn't want to get any germs, and she doesn't want the temperature change. So she just stays safely into Happy House 3. So can you hear any better? I don't know. That would be, if we, without eyesight, the Glendora Enterprise, a chat with Glendora, the Glendora Public Access Television Network and all that, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, they're able to operate without eyes. But if you had without eyes and ears, how would you do it? Helen Keller did it. Wonderful story. Okay, what else is there to tell you about yesterday? The last Meals on Wheels. I asked to take a hiatus in the month of May, and they're going to let me do it. So the last one, what was it? Well, it was some poor animal which we don't have anything to do with, and it was a macaroni salad that was quite tasty, and a tomato and lettuce salad that was quite tasty. And then Mary Ann, the woman who delivered Wheels on Meals for 26 years, gave me a birthday present. Delicious chocolate and coconut cookies, Girl Scout cookies. And the nephew Scott called from the Augusta, Maine area. He has a huge collie dog, Kelly dog, and standing up straight on her legs, her hind legs, she's over 6 feet. And she eats carrots and peas. He gives her carrots and peas every day, and he takes her to the dog park. And most of the conversation with my nephew Scott is about the dog park and the new dogs who arrived. There was a little, he said a little Pomeranian who runs around with a red, one of those things you throw. And he told about the other dogs. And I told him how my nephew and his wife, my nephew Ralph Edward and his wife Donna, down in Florida, they had a tornado warning, and so they got up early around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and Ralph Edward is standing in the living room, and Donna is in the bedroom looking up something about the tornado, and it came. It came right to their house and blew the roof off. What? It didn't touch them. It didn't touch them. It went away and they were still standing or sitting or whatever. And it was only yesterday or the day before that they finally got a new roof. I have 3 nephews who live up in Maine around Augusta, although Ralph and Donna live down in Florida half of the year. And Scott talked about how he went to his church, the Episcopal Church in Gardner, Maine, and how beautiful the church was and how nice the service was, and that it was so warm that they did the service pretty much out in the graveyard of the church. Now, what else happened? We sent a truffle to a granddaughter. We sent an apple to the grandson, and we sent a chocolate coconut cookie to the son of all of my relatives, of my associate, Carol. Did you do all the work? Yeah, everything except we forgot this year. We called 5 churches, and this is what we said to them. Grace and peace to you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Do you have anybody there 18 years and older who needs a job? We are giving $250 bonus to anybody who will come to work for us part-time. We will give $500 bonus to anybody who will come to work for us full-time, 30 hours. What is the job? Well, Glendora has had a television show, Coast to Coast, for 68 years. And 2 years ago, she lost her eyesight, and she just needs somebody to be eyesight for her, to do the cell phone, the computer, the email, the U.S. mail, errands, light housekeeping, light cooking, and left the telephone number and left the email, A Chat with Glendora, that's the name of the TV show, A Chat with Glendora, at gmail.com. Oh, and told them how much it paid. It pays anywhere from $13 an hour to $15 an hour, depending upon the person's ability. Errands, did I mention errands? I think so. So we call 5 churches. We've done about maybe 10, 6 or 7, maybe more. Okay, 7 high schools. And we've done about 10 colleges. It is really something, this phenomenon that has developed of being so difficult to find somebody who wants to work and make some money. And that, along with the phenomenon that people make appointments and then act in bad faith. They don't come to the appointment that they make, and they don't call you up and tell you they're not coming. Common decency. What else is going on? No, I'm not going to talk about that germ and about the pandemic and all of that. I'm just not going to talk about that. I'm going to say, go away, germ. You're not real. You don't have any power over me. You're a counterfeit. Go away. I'm not going to have anything to do with you. We finished listening to we finished listening to the Sentinel Radio with Jenny Sawyer and a woman named Heidi, and Jenny doesn't pronounce it. All of the hosts on the Sentinel don't say the names of their guests distinctly. All the way at the top and the bottom. So I called up Jenny and told her that. And I told Jenny that this was the best one she'd ever done. It was on anxiety. Anxiety about that germ. And this Heidi got rid of her anxiety in high school, by just going out and being an expression of love. And looking at others as an expression of love. In other words, she said maybe smiling to somebody in school, just doing things for people in school. And also her meditation in the morning, the first thing when she woke up, she thought about God instead of about all the things she had to do that day. She thought about God first. And what do you think about God? Do you know what to think about God? Well, I think God is love. And love is spirit. Obviously, I love you. That's by spirit, isn't it? Kevin Marr, Franklin Thomas, all the people on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube who write back to me their love, and I reciprocate with love for them. It's spirit, isn't it? And being nice, and being generous, and giving presents, and listening to people, and try to make them see it straight. So there's love, spirit, and mind, thinking, thought, nerves, brain, life. Soul, spirit, truth. What is the truth? God is love. Love is God. God is one. There isn't anything but God. And God is whole. You can't be separated from God. We're all one with each other. The whole thing is one. God's wholeness, God's onlyness, God's oneness. You're one with God. You can't be separated from God. A cell taken from this body doesn't exist as a cell any longer. You can't be separated from God, even though selfishness, ego, and me first tell you you can be separated from God and promise you everything, wealth and prestige and fame and power. It's a fake. It can't deliver that. That's the old serpent in the Garden of Eden. It's a counterfeit. It's no good. It has no power over you. It has no power with you. The only power is love. And somehow or other, this thought gets into electromagnetism and heat and light. Now, heat and light, they seem like a spirit to you, although they get down to a physical counterpart. And then somehow or other, they make quarks. The physicists are talking about quarks and bosons and mesons. And they make protons and neutrons. And we don't know where electrons come from. And they make atoms. And now we have hydrogen. And hydrogen combines and makes helium. And helium combines and makes the third element. What is it? Lithium or something. But you get into the all very important elements. Oxygen, carbon. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. They get together. And they make life. And there's such a difference between life and no life. Okay. So, you know what it really all just comes down to? Love. And today we're going to do that, just the way we did it yesterday, right? Oh, I forgot to tell you what time it was and what day it is. Didn't know I told you what day it was.
The time is 7:53 a.m. The time is 7:53 a.m.
Hey Google, what is the temperature today, please? Hey Google, what is the temperature today? Let me try something here. Let your light shine before the world. Google. Hey Google. No good luck, folks. I think the sunrise, the temperature's probably 30, 40, 50 in that range. I think the sunrise is 5 o'clock in the area of 5 o'clock. And I think the sunset is in the area of 8 o'clock. It's April 30th. Tomorrow is May 1st. People are seeing the grass turn green. People are seeing the leaves unfold. People are seeing tulips and hydrangeas, those sweet, sweet creations, and forsythia all over the place. Watch now for my favorite, dandelions. Flowering crab, weeping willow, cherries, and apple blossoms. Vicky, what are your assignments? To continue reestablishing the 11 months of soul to soul that we erased, that Gina erased from YouTube. Gina, go to Trader Van. They have 70 vegan products. Go up there and spend about $70. Can you also go to Walmart and spend about $10 or $20 on groceries, and then non-groceries? The trust is in perfect shape. You know, we have to give $1,750 every month to the NYSARC Trust in order to have Medicaid. And if you don't spend any of that $1,750 and you go on to your next assignment, your next metamorphosis, that is, if you leave the earth, who gets that leftover money? Do you get it back? No, they don't give it back. They keep it. So we're very careful at the end of every month to make sure that every bit of that $1,750 is spent. So I think we got the balance down to $1.95, something like that. So that I'm pleased with the trust, the way it's going. And Carol does an excellent job taking care of it. And Becky at the trust says she certainly does. There will be a new...
The time is 8 o'clock a.m. The temperature is 77.1 degrees Fahrenheit. The time is 8
Grace and
o'clock
peace unto
a.m.
you.
The temperature is 77.1 degrees Fahrenheit.
May the peace of God be with you, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit and the love of Jesus Christ be with you and all those you love. Amen. A hymn. Make me a blessing. Make us a blessing. Make us a blessing to someone today. What are you thinking about? Well, I was trying to leave you with a joke, and I'm trying to think of a joke that I haven't told you before. You can always trust your undertaker. He's the last man in the world to let you down.
Two.
Cheer up time, dear folks. What you got, Carol?
Today's jokes. Promote.
The employee said to the boss, "Boss, you could promote a man like me, couldn't you?" And the boss said, "If he wasn't too much like you."
Baxter.
Did you thank Mrs. Baxter for the lovely birthday party she gave the children? Well, I was standing in line and I was going to thank her, and the girl in front of me thanked her, and Mrs. Baxter said, "Don't mention it." So I didn't.
And Midas.
Why did my man quit his job at Midas Muffler? It was exhausting.
Spots before eyes.
Doc, a man said to his friend, "I see spots before my eyes." And his friend says, "Well, have you seen a doctor?" And the man says, "No, just spots."
Acute.
What was that one?
Acute.
Oh, yes. The doctor said to the rather attractive young lady, "You have acute appendicitis." And she said, "Doc, I came here for help, not to be flattered."
Hereditary.
"I can't do anything for your disease," the doctor said. "It's hereditary." And the patient said, "Send the bill to my dad."
German measles.
Back in 1940s and 50s, there was a doctor who was so assiduous that when he gave a shot for German measles, he gave a shot for two, one for East Germany and one for West Germany.
And one of the family.
The dog, our dog is like one of the family. Yeah? Which one?
And last, dog poker.
My dog plays poker. Well, I don't believe it. Oh, yes, he does. He has one fault. When he gets a good hand, he wags his tail.
Okay, that's the end of the jokes. Do you want to do the words?
Oh, yes, please. Words for our vocabularies, to brighten up our vocabularies. I think the first one is Achilles' heel, isn't it? Heel, Achilles' heel.
Achilles tendon.
Yeah, Achilles tendon. That was Achilles when he was a baby. His mother made him impervious all over his body by dipping him into this special fluid. And the trouble is that Paris, an enemy, knew about this heel, and he shot Achilles in the heel and killed him. And that's why the tendon is called the Achilles tendon, that goes from the calf to the heel.
And the next one is acknowledge.
Would you spell it, please?
A-C-K-N-O-W.
Oh, yes. To own. Could you read that definition, Carol? It's long.
To own with gratitude
Yes.
as a benefit or imposing obligation.
Nice.
To make public one's
Knowledge.
of something. Admit, owe, avow, confess.
Admit, avow, or confess. Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
What's the next word?
Acolyte.
What is it, dear?
Acolyte.
Oh, an acolyte is a helper. That's really.
An assistant. And the next one is acquiesce.
Acquiesce means to consent, but without full agreement, passively. Tell me what it means, please. Acquiesce.
To accept or comply passively without implying consent or agreement.
There you are. No consent, no agreement, but to accept passively. Thank you, Carol. One more.
Acquirement.
Acquirement. Now, an acquirement is something that you have to work for to get. It is not something that you naturally have. What is the definition, Carol?
Personal qualities or resources achieved by endeavor.
Nice. Beautiful definition. Thank you, Webster's Collegiate Dictionary by G and C Merriam, Springfield, Mass. Okay, Carol, thank you.
You're welcome.